Yo, what up, YouTube? Alonso Q wanted to do a follow up on Donald Trump and this shit show of an election that we're living through. What have we done, America? What have we done? You know, and it's on the rest of you guys. I did not vote for either of these two guys in the primaries. So whoever did, fuck all you guys. Because this debate was. What have we got ourselves into? This is depressing. Right off the bat, I'll tell you who won the first debate was whoever wasn't there. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson won that first debate because wow, that was pretty uneventful. Honestly, I missed the last 15 minutes because it didn't look like it was going anywhere interesting. I think I saw the highlights then, and it didn't look like I missed much. But man, Donald Trump dropped the ball, looked like an idiot. If there's one person you could just rail against, it's Hillary Clinton, and he had the opportunity. He didn't. He didn't take his chances wisely. I mean, they were talking about cybersecurity, and I mean, he just shouldn't have even got off topic and just hammered home. She was using a personal server. Who knows who got access to her emails and classified emails? She put information in jeopardy, national security. She's got her own interest above the interest of the country. So, man, he really should have hammered that home. But instead, he was a thin-skinned, pussy-ass motherfucker, and he let her get under his skin, and he just spent the whole time just defending himself instead of attacking her. So that was just dumb, man. You can frame it however you want. When you're the person talking, why are you gonna make yourself look like an idiot? But he's kind of an idiot. So now look, I went in there like probably most Americans at this point, just looking for a reason to vote against Hillary Clinton because, man, she is just so corrupt, and the stuff she says. Look, I lean conservative. I've never voted for a Democrat for president, so when she's saying her deplorable stuff, I assume that applies to me. I'm not racist or sexist, but you know, I say stuff that people get offended by because we're living in a kiss-ass pussy generation, to quote Clint Eastwood. And you know, this debate. Donald Trump didn't hit on any of that. He didn't hit on his strong points. He just made himself look like a thin-skinned little bitch, like all these other people that they act like they're complaining about all the time. So, Donald Trump came out looking kind of weak, but he did nail Hillary Clinton coming out of the gates pretty hard. And he made one solid point against her in the debate where she was talking about how he doesn't pay taxes, or she doesn't think he pays taxes, and he was saying, well, you squandered $6 trillion, and if that's the number, holy fuck, try to wrap your mind around that $6 trillion. I know it's at least a few $1 trillion, trillions of dollars spent at war, and he said we could have rebuilt the country twice with the money that you squandered. And she was like, well, you didn't pay your share. And he said, well, you would have squandered that too. And she absolutely would have. Democrats will squander every penny, and then they'll come back and they'll say the only reason it didn't work is because they didn't have more money. And that's the entire Democratic platform, is more money. Give us more money. Give us more taxes. Let's raise the tax revenues. That's bullshit. The problem with our government is not that they don't have enough money. Look up what the U.S. budget is. Look up what the dollars of tax revenue is. And if you can't run a country on that, man, that's a problem with government and bureaucracy. That has nothing to do with not enough money. So Hillary Clinton talking about raising taxes is ridiculous. Raising more regulations, more taxes, not going to help the situation. Donald Trump talking about cutting taxes, but then adding different taxes in the form of tariffs. And look, tariffs are going to hurt people. So, and look, Hillary Clinton's buying into it too, because Bernie Sanders was sort of on the same thing, the protectionism, try to get manufacturing in America. Look, if people are going to manufacture stuff cheaper overseas, that only helps the poorest people that live among us. You know, if you, it's the family that gets their stuff at Walmart, or they get some cheap shoes from Payless, or the you know, the outlet stores. This cheap stuff coming from China is benefiting the poorest among us, people who don't have much money for shoes and cheap pants and cheap shirts and stuff. So free trade is our friend. It helps them, it helps us. This protectionism isn't good. Both sides are doing it from different directions, and Clinton's trying to tax businesses out of existence, and Donald Trump is trying to just mess with the markets. So both of these guys are totally fucking wrong on economics. So really, it comes out it comes out with Gary Johnson as the winner by default, because he's the only one who seems to understand some basic economic principles. I'll do more on that later, but more on the debate. Donald Trump, this motherfucker. I'm out here putting videos saying why he's better than Clinton. And one of the reasons that I gave is that he's stronger on the Second Amendment. And then what does this fool do? He goes out there in front of the, like, 100 million people, insane numbers, bigger than the Super Bowl, I think they said. And what does he say? This democratic, authoritarian bullshit of no fly, no buy. If you've heard about this proposal that if you're on the no fly list, that you can't buy a gun. And look, that no fly list is no due process, man. You don't have to get a warrant from a judge. There's nothing involved. That's just on a whim. The government can put you on a list and suspend your constitutional rights. That is wrong, just straight up and down. And we have both candidates approving of it. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Look, Donald Trump got the endorsement of the NRA. That means a little something to me. It means he's gonna have to be responsive to the Second Amendment people, at least to some degree. But at the same time, if he doesn't understand a constitutional right is a constitutional right, and you can't take away somebody's rights without due process, oh man, that was frustrating, because the Second Amendment was really the only reason that I was considering him as a strong alternative to Hillary Clinton. The fact that they sounded the same on guns, man, that really frightened me, because in my other video, like I said, Second Amendment, when they start talking about restricting your Second Amendment rights, that's the sign of tyrants right there. So when both of them are calling for and look, that no-fly list, like I said, they could just throw you on there. It's an arbitrary list. And Donald Trump saying, oh, well, we'll make it easier for you to get off if you're falsely put on there. That's all well and great, but you don't have the right to be taking away people's rights in the first place and then giving them an outlet to get them back. No. Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. So, man, the fact that Donald Trump crossed that line at the debate pretty much pushed me back out of his camp, man. I hopped on the Trump train, and now I'm hopping off, skeptical. I'm an undecided voter. Probably, like I said, like most Americans, I'm just looking for an excuse to not vote for Hillary because she's a criminal. She looked more prepared, stronger. She called out his other terrible gun thing. He said stop and frisk is going to help the crime in the black community. And that was such a missed opportunity, because personally, I would say the opposite. Instead of having cops out there shaking people down for guns, he literally said, we'll take the guns away. Oh man, Donald Trump dropped the ball on guns on that debate. But Hillary Clinton actually ended up sounding more libertarian, defending the Fourth Amendment, saying that stop and frisk was unconstitutional. And from my understanding, that's what's been ruled. And just obviously, man, you could just look at that and see that's a Fourth Amendment violation. So she called him out on stop and frisk. I think that's sort of outside the realm of what the president does anyway, and he's talking about cities doing that. That's not going to become a standard practice across the country. They're talking about the worst cities in the country, which happen to be Democrats. And that's what they're not talking about, because neither of them understand economics, and they don't realize what the root of the problem is a lack of jobs. It's not a lack of socialist programs or whatever, you know. So both candidates were troubling. Donald Trump made the point that the government's wasting your money, and we could have fixed the country twice with that $6 trillion we spent in the Middle East. That, I think, is the strongest point of the night, because if there's one thing government does, it's waste your money. And he called her out because she wasted your money. She voted for those wars. She went in there, and now we're not even done. We got ISIS. We don't even know what's to come with ISIS. It's causing a refugee crisis across Europe. So much turmoil on account of Hillary Clinton's policies. So that can't be understated, the cost. Not just in lives and destabilization, which is terrible. People's lives have been ruined. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people are affected by this, directly and indirectly. And but beyond the human cost is the actual cost trillions and trillions of dollars. And when look up what Eisenhower said about the military industrial complex, every bomb that you send, every drone, every bullet, every dime that you spend on the military overseas is money that's not being spent on healthcare. It's not being spent on schools. It's not being spent on jobs at home. So, yeah, that was, I think, the strongest point of the night was the squandering of the money. But he didn't propose any cuts. So he's calling Clinton out on squandering money, but Donald Trump's ready to go in there and squander your money too. But he'll cut your taxes, which might help you start a business, maintain a business. He understands that aspect of it. I think he's a little bit better in terms of that, in terms of taxes, but then he wants to do protectionist tariffs and stuff. So he had the strongest point. Governments waste your money. Hillary Clinton calling him out on the stop and frisk. I don't think we should just give away our rights so easy. Both of them suck on guns, so I'm definitely much more likely to vote for Gary Johnson. And guess what? Gary Johnson just polled at 24% in New Mexico. 24%. He's like within 10 points of Hillary Clinton, something like that. He could win New Mexico theoretically. So I'm pretty much, Donald Trump pretty much pushed me out of the Trump train, because, man, if you're not going to stand up for guns, that's just too fundamental. It's like free speech. If you don't care about free speech and you don't care about Second Amendment, I can't honestly give you my vote. Anything else that was important from that debate? Nah, man, that was a sad debate. Both candidates are really pathetic. Donald Trump, he has the edge because he hasn't been in public office raising money from I don't even know what you want to call her. This legalized bribery, man. All the money she's got from Wall Street. And look, Donald Trump's a millionaire and maybe he doesn't pay taxes, but that's because he's doing his accounting. Look, you get out of all the taxes you can get out of. As long as he didn't break the law, you can't hold nothing against him. If he broke the law, throw the book at him. He's a rich fuck. I don't really care. But Hillary Clinton needs to get the book thrown at her too, and she didn't. She got off the hook. And look at her. She's a millionaire. She's not a private businesswoman like Donald Trump. How did she become a millionaire as a quote-unquote public servant? Ask yourself that. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. You shouldn't be able to become a multimillionaire by being a public servant. No, no. She's a crook. She's a liar. Don't ever forget that. Dump the Democrats. But hey, Donald Trump, he's only marginally better. I took one of those quizzes, a couple of those quizzes, but one of them, it said I was 38% match with Trump, 33% match with Clinton. So I don't really match with either. Trump just barely a little bit better, but not enough that it's that big a difference, man. These two are cut from the same cloth. There is hardly a difference between them. It's just the frosting on the cake, man. Totally the same on the inside. Both these guys are corrupt. The only difference is, like I said, Donald Trump hasn't proven himself to be basically a traitor. I don't want to call Hillary Clinton a traitor, but the way she's behaved, what she's done, the risks she's put our country in, the fact that she puts herself ahead of the country, she can't be president. So vote against Hillary Clinton. I still stand by that. Donald Trump, he sucked pretty bad in that debate. If he comes harder, which I think he will, I'm pretty sure he's still going to win. I stand by my prediction that Donald Trump is going to win. But neither of them won that debate because they both suck. America, get your shit together. This should be a wake-up call. Stop defending both of these guys. I'm going to say which one I think is the lesser of two evils if we're going to play that game. But look at Gary Johnson, look at Jill Stein. They make way more sense. Gary Johnson is on all 50 ballots, or is on the ballot in all 50 states. He's got the best plans. He's an experienced executive. He's got business experience, and he's been governor. Being a governor is a good prerequisite, not a prerequisite, but it's a good past experience to take into being president. And his vice president's a governor too. So look, they're a good ticket. People got beef with Johnson Weld, but they are the most reasonable. They're a perfect compromise between Democrats and Republicans. Everybody can get behind them. My next video, I'll talk about just why people should get behind Gary Johnson. But as far as the debate goes, Trump dropped the ball. Clinton looked like she won. She still sucks worse as far as I go. Trump had the best point. Government wastes your money. $6 trillion could have rebuilt the country twice. Don't forget that. Taxation is theft. I'll leave it at that. Peace and love, gente.